Is Celia Faye Meisel, and welcome to today's live stream. I'm giving it a moment to populate and blast out to all the places. We're on LinkedIn, we're on a few pages of Facebook, and also on YouTube. So if you're catching me live, type live in the chat. If you join on the replay, type replay in the chat. Let me know where you're tuning in from. And I want to know the revenue roller coaster. Is this something that you deal with or have dealt with in your business? Super common, super common. And so I'm going to give you some strategies and immediate solutions that you can think about to start to make changes and solve this sales problem in your business. Okay. So when I work with my clients and I take them through the MORE method, one of the key things that we do is to fix the sales and marketing gaps in their businesses. And the thing is that it's not an overnight magic wand thing. As you'll see in the direct response copy world and a lot of the marketing, everything will just appear that it can be this, this overnight magic fix. And the only way that it can be an overnight magic fix is if the visionary entrepreneur CEO completely has a major shift and a transformation to get into this new space. And even then, it might take a couple days, couple weeks for them to start to see the money and start to see the changes happening. So while from a strategic, logical standpoint, the magic fix doesn't exist, but from an inner transformation standpoint, it does exist. And I'll explain. So, what is a revenue roller coaster? This is just a great alliteration to put together. But what is it? It's highs and it's lows. I have a super high income month. I have a super low income month. I'm high and I'm low. I have a super high 3 months. I have a super low 3 months. Okay, now depending on your business model, let's say that you're in a launch-based business, you're an events-based business. Okay, you're going to be doing like pops of sales around your launches and events, get an influx of cash in, and then maybe have payment plans trickling out month to month. That's your business model. But if you're also doing running enrollments and recurring enrollments inside of your business where you're consistently generating leads into the company, you're really looking also to create that stability, especially to balance out if you are doing the launches and events as well. Okay, so that's just to paint a picture of what it can look like inside of your business. So the thing with the highs and the lows is that it creates a lot of stress, because when you have a high month, you're like, oh my gosh, life is good and I feel so great and my life is great and I've got all the clients and I've got all the money and oh my gosh, it's so good. And then you have a couple low months and it's like, my business sucks. I hate it. I want to quit. There's no good leads, right? So you get into this like duality, polarity way of living where essentially your happiness and your self-worth and your connection with your business is all based on this high and low relationship of it's good and it's bad, it's great and it sucks. And it's a really unhealthy way to run a business and to live your life, because it comes with a lot of stress. Because here's the thing is when you're at that high and you're excited and you're like, oh my gosh, I want to hit that income month again. And oh yeah, the thing is in the back of your mind, there's a part of you that's saying, oh God, I'm not going to be able to do this again next month. Oh my gosh, another low is right around the corner. I can't get too excited because I'm going to drop down. I'm going to dip down and it's going to be bad again and Okay. So a couple ways, we're going to talk about some tactics, strategies, and then we're going to get into some deep transformational concepts that you can take away with you. So the thing is that if every time you have a high income month or a series of high income months, you increase your spending, you grow your team, you buy all this stuff because like this is the new normal and this is how we're going to do things, you really set yourself up for problems financially, because you are living in this high of this is where I want it to be. And so I'm going to be aspirational. I'm going to follow the law of attraction. I'm going to go like buy a new wardrobe, and I'm going to become the coach and the trainer who has this, 6-figure a month business and da da da. And so then you go like spend all this money and go make all these hires, and you go do all these things to kind of thinking that that's going to sustain you. And then you turn around and you're like, well, like here we are again. Wait a second. I thought if I put all this money in and I spent and I acted like I was the person who earned this every month, that I was going to get that. And that was going to be my reality now. And then, so now you've got all this stress and frustration, because not only are you still on the revenue roller coaster, but you've just added a ton more stress into your life because you have up-leveled your expenses to match this new high that really, looking at your track record, is not sustainable. Okay. And, some people, they get coaches that encourage them to do this. And so it may not be your fault. You may read a lot of personal development and a lot of build wealth stuff. But if you really think about the nuts and bolts of the financial world, any financial expert that knows what they're doing is going to tell you to not up level, all of your expenses and all of your monthly reoccurring things to match this new, this new income level that you haven't proven to yourself that you can even sustain. Okay. So at the same token, when you get to the bottom and you're at the low of the roller coaster, and then it's like, oh my God, now I need to fire everybody. Everybody's got to go. I've got to fire this person. I've got to fire that person. I've got to let this go. There's just too much money going out. I've got to rein it back in. And so what happens is that you get addicted to the highs and the lows. And this emotional, this emotional roller coaster that's happening alongside the revenue financial roller coaster. And it's super, super stressful. Okay. And especially when you've been going through it for years and years. And then you combine that with your your desire, and you want to create this new world, and you want to have this great business, and there's all these things that you want to do, but you become really frustrated. And so here is where, now that I've painted the picture for you, here's something to really look at, is because you begin to reaffirm your identity as this person who has revenue roller coaster. So you may go introduce yourself to a business coach or to a strategist and be like, I'm always on the roller coaster. Like, I just can't, I have 3 high months, I have 3 low months, blah, blah, blah. I can't sustain. And like, that becomes your identity. And it's actually like how you perceive yourself. And you reaffirm it. You actually like rehearse it in your mind. Okay, like, this is who I am, and I've got this going on, and this going on, and this going on, and this going on, and this is who I am, and I've got this, this, and this, and this. And basically, you're like rehearsing in your thoughts this identity of who you are. And the thing is that when you are addicted and hooked in to the revenue roller coaster, and it has you down or it has you up, you can't think outside of that. You cannot literally, like, with your consciousness, like, step out of it and get that perspective of like, oh, well, maybe I could do things differently. And oh, like, maybe there's a better way. And I will say too that I have recently, in my own journey, become trauma informed, buzzword, but I've become trauma informed, and I've learned that there is a level of nervous system dysregulation that goes into somebody having these highs and these lows, because it's how your nervous system has been calibrated in, I won't get into the techie terms of it, but it's how your nervous system is calibrated. And so you're kind of addicted to the highs and lows because that's how you're wired, and that's what you're practicing. And that's just what's been ingrained inside of you. So what do we want to do? Like, how can we change it, right? And I always take a stability first approach, and really creating stability. So from a strategic and a tactical standpoint inside of the business, what are we going to do? we're going to first address the sales and the marketing gaps inside of the business. We have to do that. And that can take time to come in, to do an assessment, to really look at what all is going on. Not only inside of the business, what I see a lot is, a business owner will have had like all these different copywriters and all these different programs they've been through. And so everything is kind of piecemealed together, just like I've talked about in previous live streams where I talk about like piecemealed sales process and things like that. Your sales and marketing inside of the company is piecemealed. And then you're trying all these different tactics and strategies, hoping to get back to the high, right? We got to get back to the high again. And so then it's like you're always kind of chasing that, like I said before. And so what we want to do is get those foundational pieces in place and hire and fire in a strategic way, in a way that's going to calm you down, that's going to calm your nervous system down and get you into a place of stability with the sales and marketing. And that means having the right team members in place and having the right input and the right people, consultants and advisors and all of that, whatever your team is going to look like. For my clients at the multi 6 into 7 figures, it's about having the right copywriter on the team and the right ads strategist and a CMO if needed, or somebody who can do, CMO with some copywriting and marketing strategy and direction. This isn't like a social media manager. Like a social media manager isn't going to drive your company's marketing. And you as the entrepreneur CEO, like you don't necessarily need to be the one driving the company's marketing either, because as you ascend in your levels of expertise and thought leadership, you start to get like more honed in to do the fulfillment and the service delivery side of things, being the kind of like the guru in your business, like doing the marketing and sales all yourself it starts to fall out of alignment. So when my clients are coming to me, it's like they want to get off the phones, they want to bring on a sales team, but we can't do that without the foundations in place and without those sales and marketing gaps fixed and solidified and dialed in. And then once we have those, we can really start to put the things in to scale and to really make that transformation. So I want you to know that like baseline from a business and tactical perspective, it's sales and marketing all day long that's going to help you get off the revenue roller coaster. So it's the right hires, it's making the right tweaks to your ads and to your funnel and to your copy. Making sure that your sales, this is my more money process, but like making sure that your sales script and your whole sales process is really a reflection of like the whole transformation that clients are going to get when they come into, work in your paid program with you. And then we go up from there. So we could be like, you know what, we can fix this. Like we can fix all of this from a tactical and strategic standpoint. However, if the business owner, and let's say that's you, is still running inside of this identity of like, I have highs and lows, my income is unstable, I can't sustain, yada, yada, then what ends up happening is you will actually sabotage your team and you will, like, their brilliance and what they can bring to the table will not be seen. It will not be recognized. It won't be heard because you're still in that identity of having all of these problems inside of your business, especially the revenue problem. So what has to happen is just like I will tell prospects and I will coach my clients on this as well for their sales. It's like, let's take this and like move it over to the side, right? So like if you're going in to close a deal and somebody keeps coming up with a money objection, like I can't afford it, I just bought a house, blah, 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 right? All of their things that they'll say, they'll spew up sometimes. And you're like, okay, I totally hear you. And let's just put the money piece aside. Let's just like slide it over here, over to the side. And let's get really clear on, is this program a fit for you? There's something that you want? Okay, you see what I did? I just turned my lesson on the video into a sales training. So let's come back to you, entrepreneur CEO, and say, okay, you want a stable business, right? But yeah, Celia, but I'm always on this revenue roller coaster and I just can't get out of these highs and lows. Blah, blah, blah. Okay, let's set that aside for a moment. Okay, let's just push it over aside and get clear. What is it that you do want to have? Well, I know that I don't want to be on the revenue roller coaster anymore. Okay, great. I'm with you on that, and I'm 100% with you that the revenue roller coaster is all the things that you have told me. Can we set it aside? Like just push it over here for a moment and let's just have a talk and a conversation about what it is that you really want inside of your business. Oh, well, I want to have consistent X-figure months and I want these dream clients rolling in every month and I want this and that and blah, blah, blah. Great. And, what is it that's gotten in the way from you being able to do that? Earlier, okay, now I'm going into a role play sales call, but you see the point, like, we want to get that thing, that identity. So if like your prospect has a money identity that they keep coming up with, or you have a revenue roller coaster identity or all these other identities, if you keep bringing it into the conversation and saying, yeah, but this is me and this is who I am and this is how it is, like you never ever have a chance of not being that because you're just constantly reaffirming it. And look, I know that talking about this and, verbalizing it, it can seem like, gosh, Celia, like that is so much easier said than done. But I'm going to tell you that you want to forget. You actually want to forget that memory. You want to forget that identity altogether and just move it over, because here is the thing, okay? This is the top takeaway, is that every moment of your life, from when you wake up in the morning to when you go to bed and you do it over again the next day and the next day and the next day, every moment of your life that you spend affirming an identity within yourself, casting judgment on yourself or others, that you spend just consistently like thinking about things and obsessing about things and mulling over things, the more you take yourself away from what is available to you now. Like now, because you could have like really great prospects and really great opportunities that are all right in front of you, all around you, and you are just so fixated on this identity and this circumstance and reaffirming it because like that's just how it appears to you. And one of my mentors would have said that it was called a linguistic phenomenon. A revenue roller coaster is a linguistic phenomenon. It's like we just say it and then we repeat it over and over again, and therefore it is, and it's our identity, and it's how we perceive ourselves and how we perceive the business and how we perceive the world and blah, blah, blah. So when you are in that space and you're not clear and you're not present, you miss out on so much goodness. You miss out on that pay in full client that wants to come by because you literally don't have any room. It's like if your headspace could be, physically manifest, and you looked at all the stuff that you have rolling through your head and the identities and the beliefs and all of that, and you put it out in physical form, you would be like, wow, it's really crowded up in here. Like there's no room for anything else. And that's what I will ask is, is the reason that you're on the revenue roller coaster because like you go and then you have this pop of clients, and then you get all of this money into the business, and then you get all these new people into the business as clients, and then you also go hire all these new team and contractors and all these things, and then all of a sudden like you can't handle it anymore. It's like too much, right? Your energy and your physicality and your nervous system can't sustain it. And then now you're going to go crash because like that's kind of the comfort zone. But there's a part of you that's so mad and so frustrated and so annoyed, and you beat yourself up because you go back there because it's like it's just so familiar, but it's also like that you are capable of more, because my clients have a spiritual connection within themselves, and they know that like abundant wealth in all forms, and happiness and health and, material things and great business and all of that is like totally possible for them. And so when they're struggling, they feel like they're disconnected from their, from their divinity and from who they truly are and how they're truly meant to show up as souls in this world. And so I get that because I've been on that journey, and I'm here to share with you that, like, miracles can happen, and that you don't have to live inside of that identity. And know that when you're in that high, that you're not in that space of that true wealth either, right? Because it's that high and that low, and it's that rule of opposites, the polarity and the duality that I mentioned earlier. And so that high is also, that's why it's so fleeting, and that's why it's like it's not going to last and it's not going to be there. And look, this happened to me when I had my best income month last year. Like, it was like a high record. It was multiple 5 figures. And I was like, oh my gosh, like, this is amazing. Like, I want this to be my new normal. And then at the back of my mind, I was like, oh crap, like, what if I can't ever do this again? What if it's not going to work? And I was actually like more depressed on like my best income month ever than I was when I wasn't in those months. And I wouldn't say more depressed, but like I was more stressed about money when I made a lot of it, because I was just like, well, I don't feel like this is going to last, and da da da. Like, I was in that headspace that I'm talking about today. And so what I learned to shift out of was to be in that identity of money, and like money making my life great or money making my life bad. And to also simplify, to like not buy into, there is just so much stuff online. Like, you could just be spending money all day long on things you don't need, and money you don't have, on things that aren't going to even like move the needle forward for you. And so that, but when you're in that high and low, you're always going to be looking for like that next fix to, to make changes, right? To like the fix to get out of it, the fix to stay in it. And so what we want is, we want that stability and we want that foundation, but like, you have to want that for yourself and start to make those changes. And I'm telling you, it starts with like your mind. And I'm going to tell you too that like doing a lot of self-development and mindset work and affirmations and all of that may not be serving you, and it may actually be keeping you stuck in that, because when you are setting goals that are kind of like rooted in lack, you create more of it, right? So if you're like, well, I want to make 100K a month, or I want to make 500K a month, and that's rooted in, I don't want to make this much a month. Like, I want this because I don't want this. You're living in that state of opposites. And so what we want to do is, we want to really come home to like the truth of who you are, and what is possible for you in your business, and what you could really create and customize something. Like, there are so many options. Like, I love coming into businesses. Like, I have my more method and I have my processes, but like, if you want to get off the phones, like, you can, once you have sales and marketing gap solved, like, you can have an in-house sales team, you could have an external team. There's like so many things that you could do to really design your business in a way that you want to. And the same with your team that you hire, like, and that you bring in to support you. Like, you have so many options. So I think this is going to give you some things to contemplate on, or not to contemplate on, just like, don't think after listening to this, and just be in that space of like when that identity comes in and you reaffirm that story of yourself, that you see it, and then you just kind of let it fade away. Like, it comes and then it goes, but you don't judge it, right? Because like, if you've done a lot of self-development work and things like that, you may get into like judging yourself when you feel a negative thought, or when you think a negative thought, or you feel a lower vibration emotion. Like, that's just a part of who you are. And that's part of what creates this roller coaster of the highs and the lows, is that judgment that happens when you are in the low. And so if you can really love yourself and learn to, find peace and joy when you're in those low states, like you will completely transform how you experience the highs, but ultimately you're going to find yourself stabilizing and balancing out, which is yay, that's what we want. I hope that's what you want if you want to get off the revenue roller coaster. So if you want to talk more and you want me to come and look inside of your business and you want to talk about like these thoughts that you're having and what's going on in your life and your business, feel free to book a call with me at moremethod.info. Until next time.